Abusuafo yemo bibia kwa ba. Yes, yanko ponchiro bibia hanom area number 1 authentic platform Mega TV. In fact, Cedi depreciation what ya say dollar no ashase e man homne so. Na enkomodidi aba abonten. Yewra lawyer Martin Kpebu akasa. Sanso Professor Bobkin enso akasa. And NDC one of the legal team no member yewra Edudzi Tamaklo lawyer Edudzi Tamaklo enso akasa na imepese yebeko yekwa kuti anya no nko a mubeka na nsia Abronye omochie no lawyer Martin Kpebu aba abonten abimiki na emphatically so no de on support sa de no detention no mo aye no. In fact, Edudzi Tamaklo afacing 1-on-1 aka no kore ade akire no. Na wache ni die ntia e wo se Abronye DC e wo so omudi tension na so omudi teni no na omuma mbra no eye adwuma on his side. Abushafo yenko na yenkuti common bi na yekoba edinaka ina ebeto aso e wo yem platform so hanom remains your number 1 authentic platform Mega TV yankopon koso a ehira meso se branko modidi ni koso no na wonso Adauroma odo comment atum na wa like dwumadi na wa share na wa subscribe to the channel no isanse hanom ene your number 1 authentic platform yenti nse ni bi yakoba yebeto aso edi amamu.
I mean in our case so that in the period that we're talking about, that's where the issue is, and that's that's why
my argument is that a rate of 12, 13, it will be a far more defensible position to intervene than the rate of 10.
Okay.
And that obviously at 10, the Cedi was grossly overvalued.
So that's what another statement the president made, that the Cedi was undervalued at 16 cedis to the dollar, and also overvalued at 10 cedis to the dollar, as we saw in the past few months gone by. And so as a result, there has to be some leveling. How do we determine that really the 13 cedis is the leveling up of the Cedi? It's a value that is true and reflective of what the Cedi should be?
It's an estimate. And you build models and you look at what the other numbers are telling you. Look at what inflation is telling you. You look at what the exchange interest rates, imports, and also what is happening in the international market. Remember that the Cedi is really what translates what happens out there with us. You also look at what you're doing internally in terms of competitiveness of your businesses and your discipline where your fiscal side is concerned. So it is an estimate, and with all estimates, the only thing you can be sure is that it will be precisely wrong, that the actual value will be different, but it is an estimate. But it is a far more defensible position than 10.5.
You mean this 13 cities is sustainable and defensible?
Defensible, sustainable. Remember, one of the arguments we've made here clearly is that a gradual appreciation is not even bad. We will accept it. But so long as it doesn't go spike up, spike down, spike up, spike down. If it goes steadily, we will accept it and deal with it. And in fact, because of all the structural problems in this economy that are yet to be fixed,
and that is why speculation is ripe. Right?
Yes. You know, so it will be difficult to see the Cedi appreciate long term unless those challenges are fixed. Those problems have persisted for a long time. But so we are prepared to accept even a gradual, slow appreciation. Depreciation
to fix them. Yes. I saw the launch of the Nkukon Kitinkiti, my beloved project. Right? They said they're starting the processing plant. Yeah, listen, I saw somewhere that the president had launched it. So hopefully, when Nkukon Kitinkiti comes on board and there's a lot of poultry domestically, it means
because
that
we spend more than $200 million importing.
Can you imagine
poultry products and all of that?
Together, the food basket is $3 billion. That's how much we
import. Of as high as 300+ million in just poultry.
And rice.
But back to where we were.
We are importing water to now. We spend more than $11 million importing water in 2023.
So now that's one that we'll get because it ties directly into the Galamsey conversation and all of that. You say so over $11 million importing water into this country.
But it didn't even start last year. It's been there for a while.
If you track it's been increasing over time. We were spending more money to import water into
and if we are not careful, that's going to be the ultimate business.
And that's where the concern is. And like Kpebu, to the extent that yes, you want to just conclude on the point.
No, I was just making a comment.
Please.
That anybody who asks me, what are the growth businesses you invest in? You know the number one business I say? Water.
Okay.
Water. Buy a Balsa. Buy a water Balsa, a water tanker. Get a filtration plant. Because the water wars in this country are going to be incredible. And some of us see buying a sachet of water one of these days as high as 5 cedis for a sachet of water.
Hopefully we don't get there.
The entrepreneurs are talking.
You see, in the end, I think we're all coming back to a point where, one, there's no dispute now that there was some intervention by the central bank in the market over the last 7 to 8 months. Now, that intervention has been withdrawn. The structure of the economy hasn't changed that much. So clearly, sustaining this appreciation was going to be a problem. Juxtapose that with the losses that the president talks about, the 50% reduction in remittances, exporters losing, real estate also losing, and even the GRA itself coming out to say, well, because of this appreciation of the Cedi, there's 30% loss in the revenue projections for the year. What should be the thinking, especially because we're talking about 13 cedis, 12 cedis, 13 cedis now? Certainly, the revenue projections would have been done with the 14, 15 cedis at the beginning of the year. What should be the thinking going forward in terms of sustaining what we have seen now? Because any level of unpredictability doesn't do us any good from where we sit now. Council.
Yeah. So basically, like you said, from what Professor Bobkin said, once the IMF is coming to town and the central bank is withdrawn, it just tells you that, well, this cannot be the end of the central bank's intervention. I'm sure when the IMF leaves, the central bank will look at them. Yes, because certainly, I mean,
they always do.
Yes. When the sheriff is out of the town, then they will have a field day, or when the cat is away, then the mouse will play. Yes, we would need them to consistently intervene. But of course, you are making the point that it was excessive, right? Yes, but as for the intervention, as I've said, I've grown up with it over 2 decades. Those days from business school. And I always remember the US-China wars over this currency thing. You open, you go to America, you watch TV, and then the locals are railing. Businesses are railing that no, China is fixing the currency. China is fixing the currency. China is fixing their currency and making.
They wanted to promote their export.
Excellent, And look, over time, you know how much the US owes China? Lots of money. Your imagination. So yes, over 20 years, consistently fixing their currency to make sure that their exports are cheaper, and it's worked for them. So for me, I mean, from what I've seen, when you see something at a youthful age and eventually at this age, you see that China is top. They're like, let our central bank do it. I mean, the IMF can complain from time to time. Look, truth be told, this whole IMF checking and all this, they are also part of the problem. The IMF? Yes. They've always been a part of the problem. IMF and World Bank. Look, FinSAP, PAMSCAT, Structural Adjustment Program, right? All of them, check all the IMF programs. People will tell you that these are a scratch on the surface. Deal with the root causes. But they appear to do so, but soon the politics of the IMF, World Bank catches up, and then they don't hold us to account. So the programs don't achieve the desired results, and yet they make money off us. So, yes.
Hang on a minute. They don't hold us to account, is what you were saying.
Yes.
But if we can't discipline ourselves, we expect somebody from outside to come and discipline us.
But it's our money they use in developing. You know how much slavery made them, etc. We haven't received reparations.
That's a completely different argument.
So it's an argument to make that morally they owe us a duty to help.
Agreed.
Yes, so the terms are not good enough.
But the challenge I have is that we seem to go away, walk around with a victim mentality.
It's not victim. It's reparation.
And to say that somebody always has to come and hold a big stick over our heads before we do the right thing.
They took our resources away.
Other countries that do the right thing.
So, gentlemen,
they took our resources away. They took our human beings, took our gold. To date, we are taking. Okay, and taking, and we're saying that return something substantial.
Well, in the end,
so they are a big part of the problem.
Yes,
they are big. IMF, World Bank. They are actually the cause of our problem.
We'll still have
their politics is too much.
We will still have to do our own homework well. I mean, they are there. If we get things right,
we have our money in their
pockets. If we get things right, we're not going to have to go to them begging or seeking an intervention with all the conditionalities that comes with it.
You didn't get the right price for your gold and cocoa. You haven't seen cases of LIBOR being rigged. Huh? The cocoa and the gold prices, who determines? The thing is so clean. But people were convicted for rigging LIBOR, Barclays Bank, the employees, etc. You see it. Of course. So this is a very complex thing. Sometimes, look, don't just think that these Bretton Woods institutions, they are there for you. No, they are there to continue to press you down. That's what the whole system is about. So when you just sit and think anything IMF throws at you is kosher, we are wrong. Look, you've forgotten the history. In the 80s, the Jamaican Prime Minister, Manley, okay, yes, and then other African countries came together. They said, listen, this World Bank, IMF terms are not good. They want a new development bank that would be softer, that would cater to us developing countries. What did the Prime Minister of UK, Margaret Thatcher at the time, say? And the President of the US, Reagan? They said no, they would not. So they opposed the formation of the development bank that would properly help us. And they continue this IMF World Bank thing. So right from day one, the whole system is being rigged. It's been rigged. You take our resources through slavery, you take our gold, you take our cocoa, okay, very cheap, then it comes in very expensive, right, in chocolate, etc. And you think the system will ever be fair? No. So a huge part of it is the IMF World Bank system, this Bretton Woods institution. They are a great chunk of our poverty. You've taken so much. Give us in reparations. Let's agree that, look, give us so much back in reparations. Let's see. Bank of England, US Federal Reserve. You know how much they were making from slavery? You know how much they were making from slavery? Today they are there. You think they got it free? They took our resources. So return part. Make it more beneficial to us. The current system doesn't help us. Apart from our structural problems. Yes, I recognize Gajisberg and the rest. But I'm saying that if they really want, look at even this, the last IMF program. We all know that, look, this asset declaration law is such a huge problem. So civil society fought and they added it that, okay, let's strengthen the asset declaration law. How many years so? You see the law has not been passed. Akufo-Addo kept promising from one bar. Exactly. I tell you that IMF, this conspiracy, and so you understand their politics, and yet they are making money off us. So you think they do it for free? They take fees.
Remember that the IMF, the World Bank, they are banks.
The banks.
Like what you manage.
No, my point is that we should apply our own discipline. Nobody is out there for us. Nobody is out there for us. We are responsible for our welfare. We are responsible for rooting out corruption. We are responsible for being disciplined. And
you see Ofuriata, you see FBI, you see they are being slow.
Okay, but you see, no, but I think that the issue is in as much as there would be some legitimacy to the issues that Kpebu
if you read the literature,
certainly
it is well grounded.
Yes, it does not also take away our domestic responsibility to ensure that we do what is within our control.
The man is sitting on your neck.
But it doesn't mean they are not the ones who engineer corruption amongst us. in
What
any
I'm
way.
saying?
Here.
They are an integral part of it. Oh, you
government
can't-
officials engaging in corruption.
Where does the money go?
Government officials engaging in
They are the
corruption.
enablers. The money, where does it
Government
go? Is the
officials
money not
engaging
in the
in
US, UK, and what I say?
No. Kpebu.
They are the enablers. The Western
Enablers
countries. They are the enablers. That's where the money is.
Of what exactly?
The corruption. Where is the money today? Where is Overiata? Where is most of his resources? It's in the US.
But how
UK,
does
the other countries
you're
don't play.
talking about the IMF and the World Bank. I mean,
Yes, but where do they come from? Who controls them?
How do you then pin it down to
The
fact that
IMF
they're
belongs
ones
to
who
the
are enabling?
Europeans, then the World Bank to the Americans. Oh, you don't know? That's the
Yes.
convention.
But you're talking about they being enablers of
Yes,
the
that's
corruption.
the
That's where
enabling.
there's a point of
Because
departure.
where is the money? Where is the money? Follow the money. You will find out that it's in their banks.
If we put structures in place
Yes.
to deal with the corruption, we're not going to be talking about the enablers. That's why you point to asset declaration as one of the measures that you were hoping to be put in place to deal with public sector corruption or corruption among government officials. That's what we wanted. It's within our control. We made that proposal and the IMF bought into it. It was added to part of the conditionalities. Now there has not been materialized. That act of we demanding that assets should be declared publicly is within our control. It's a measure that we would have exacted or we are still demanding. Whether the IMF likes it or not, can we use other means to achieve the same purpose of having the asset declaration law reviewed? Because the president has said it. It is not dependent on the IMF to dictate whether or not asset declaration is reviewed to have it now get that clause of publication and verification of our assets. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, for me, I think it's within the mandate. That's why they agreed. If they couldn't help, then why is it part of the agreement?
So if the IMF doesn't now agree to it, we can't do anything about it?
We saw that the politicians would not do it readily. So quickly we saw that, okay, the IMF is the one giving this money. He who pays the piper calls the tune. So we agreed that, okay, let's pass it there. And the IMF agreed, and now the IMF is dancing, okay, kabuki. Yeah, it's become theater. The Americans call it kabuki theater. Oh, you will dance, but nothing will come out of it. It's become theater. How many years on? You see, so if they thought they couldn't do it, why did they agree? Is it part of the deception? If you say you will not help us to pass an asset declaration law, why did you add it to the agreement? Simple. Is it to deceive our citizens? Is it to deceive us? So that is it. I tell you, as for this, they are on our necks. They are actually, look, if we made the system right, okay, with these Bretton Woods institutions, a lot, we'll get funds cheaper, etc. Then they'll be more committed. Because like you said, look at PAMSCAD, all the projects. Today, you go out and they'll come and say, no, bring this IMF this in program. Then, after 3-4 years, we are back. Now 17 times. So since independence, every about 4 years or so, we are back with them. So what? So what kind of institution are you that the person keeps coming to borrow all the time? You can't help.
They are a bank, so they don't want to lose a faithful client.
So is it how banking is tricky? Banking is tricky.
Thank you. But so that we also don't lose sight of what is our responsibility, the responsibility of leadership, to do what is within our control to ensure that we get things right and not push over that responsibility and always blame an external intervention for what we have to do. I think that's where my point of departure is. But Edudzi Tamaklo, within this third quarter, the central bank made a lot over $120 million available for these bulk oil distributors to import finished products into the country. I bring this in because of where you sit, okay? And the interaction of your work with the currency and what is happening right now. The president has talked about the appreciation of the Cedi and how that interacted with other sectors within the economy and how much we were losing. This withdrawal of the intervention by the central bank in the market, plus the fact that the president says we're looking for the true value of the Cedi, how are the coming months going to look like? And how will that also this position interact with the various sectors of the economy as we have seen in the last 8 months?
Okay, so Alfred, once again, good morning. I think it's only fair that I acknowledge my senior brother Martin Kpebu for his consistency. Much earlier I was listening, because I was listening on radio.
That's true.
When he made his initial comments relative to the issues about arrests, detention, refusal of bail, and others. I think his consistency is admirable.
Indeed.
In every society, particularly democratic as we have it, you need gadflies like Kpebu to consistently give the horse a bit of a stink to keep it, moving. What I find troubling is when I listen to people like Godfrey Adame and co. pontificate on due process, the rule of law, among others. Their experience is extremely horrible. It's a past that we should never go back. Because you see, I've always maintained I've been a man, like you say, a man in the arena in some of these matters. And I saw how the law was weaponized to achieve certain outcomes that were extremely troubling. Thankfully, relative to the matters involving Abronye, the government of Ghana has nothing to do with it. If you look at the Cláshéd, it has to do with the fact of maybe the IGP and some other issues emanating from that. But what we will not take is moral lessons on how the law should work from the likes of Godfrey Adame and co. I mean, I do not want to go to the past and trying to revive some of these conversations.
Please do. He has to be punished for it.
To revive some of this conversation. But you see, Martin's advocacy on the issues of bail, to the point of even going to the Supreme Court, particularly following the decision in Goldman, where more or less the court took a position that bail for certain offense is non-bailable and others. And getting the same court to intervene again to say that, you know what, we think with the benefit of hindsight, all offenses should be bailable. Unless, of course, the bail conditions and others. I remember vividly, there was a guy, and I'll tell you the story. There was a guy who was my party member. Then he had done a video. And in the video had, made certain comments against IGP Dampare. And the Minister of Interior, what's the name? The last Minister of Interior, Henry Quarty. Quickly, they issued a statement for his arrest and declared him wanted. So, as usual, Director Legal there, I was approached. Then I said, look, on these matters, you are better off going to the police than being arrested. At least when you get arrested, it affects your bail application and others. So I spoke to the family that wherever he is, he should be allowed to go to, and got him a lawyer. The guy went to the police and they arrested him and detained him. All attempt to get him bail became a problem because he had threatened Dampare. Immediately he was processed for court. Remember, we approached the judge in open court for bail. And so this young man, upon hearing his name, he himself walked to the police. If he wants to run away, he wouldn't have come. So on these grounds, he should be granted bail. The judge refused. At that time, Godfrey Adame was the Attorney General of the Republic. He was the Attorney General and he knew what was going on. You know what the judge even told her? That he won't grant bail. And that he will do expeditious trial.
Jesus Christ.
And guess what? Because of the schedule, because of election, I pleaded with my senior Francis Xavier to help with the defense. Guess the judge was doing the trial every day. There are times my senior Francis Xavier will be late the judge will ask the accused person to defend himself.
Hey.
And sometimes tell him, do the cross-examination yourself. Until she ended up convicting him for 4 years. Yes, my branch executive in Suutum this year. Godfred was the attorney general. They just said no bail, not even with this one that the day is given, it will be reconsidered and all of those things. He's around. It was just until 4 years. It's just until recently that we did bail pending the appeal that it was considered and it was granted bail. This is a horror that we've had to endure over the period. So sometimes when I see the pontification, I agree. Why would you use bail as a tool for punishment? What if at the end of the day you find a person not guilty? What would have been the end when you have already kept the person? But the lessons we will not take from people who want to tell us what the law should be today. When we look at their horrible record, I personally, I don't even have an opinion on these matters because look, Abronye at the least is a personal friend. When I was regional deputy youth organizer for Greater Accra NDC, he was the Bono youth organizer. And anytime I met him on radio, he would tell me he's my senior. I should respect him because he's the substantive and I'm a deputy, so I should respect him. So I have that, relationship with Kwame.
Okay.
At the barest least, I mean, I've read the ruling by the judge where he appears to caution all of us in our political engagement that we can do the politics with language that at least resonates. Thankfully, our politics is a cross-fertilization of ideas. The superior idea at the end of the day will win. The bread and butter issues.
We hope so.
No, I'm just saying, and that is what has shaped my personal politics. No, my personal politics that I have done. I mean, from TV3 2012 up to now, I will make my point forcefully. I won't come here and say, Seb, you are so and so. No, I won't do it.
Indeed.
At least, Mr. Jackson will call me and then give me a small note and say, So, I think we can do better. We can always reform our laws. Our laws are supposed to be growing because we are growing, society.
Absolutely.
But some of the language and others, we can moderate it for the sake of our democracy. But that said, let me go
on the back of this, I received a swell of messages that we weren't on social media at the beginning of the program for the first 40 minutes or so. I need to apologize for this. Quite a number of your messages. Sorry about it that we didn't start the stream for the first 40 minutes of the program. Apologies for this. There was a little technical hitch, but we're truly sorry about this. So the comment that Kpebu made about Abronye, that's why we got a number of, but those who are...
No, I just felt it's important that I acknowledge his consistency. People like Martin, part of our democracy, we owe it to them.
Thank you.
The growth of our law. There are things that Martin has done, admirable, and we need to always applaud him for. And we need those voices.
He's an authority now.
We need those voices.
I mean,
and in most of these advocacies, he did it pro bono.
Indeed.
Pro bono.
So, Kpebu number 1, 2, 3, 4.
All the Kpebus. I mean, if you pick our law report, I'm sure one of the names, I think Ahumo Kanse,
Yes.
your good self, Kpebu,
Azar.
in terms of the advocacy in Professor Stephen Asari.
Yeah, he's the one I mean.
They have been extremely well, and their consistency is admirable. It matters not who is in power, but what we should not allow for hypocrites to confuse public discourse. That we must send a strong message. But that said, I think that where there is bail should be given. Why not? If the people can post all the things that you need just to ensure that the person is not flight rate. Somebody was telling me that Abronye had written to the embassies that he's under political persecution, and for that matter, he had become flight risk. I said, no. I mean, the law doesn't really work. It doesn't work that way. So that said, I think that we can just leave it. But on the substantive issue of the Cedi and the matters, I want to borrow the timeless words of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He says, when in doubt, observe the exchange rate. It is within that context that I think that we should look at this particular discussion. And that is why it weighs strongly on the president for he himself to make some comments related to this matter. Globally, no government would want to leave the exchange rate for market forces. It doesn't happen anywhere. Thankfully, at least for my first degree, I had the benefit of reading some economics. And so I remember there was a level 200 called Economy of Ghana that you have to do. And if you look at the data, the numbers all over, it shows that government has always had a critical role to play in what happened with your exchange rates. And so that whole idea that just leave market forces, and sometimes these market forces are driven by profit and more profit. And so when you have such situation, government must definitely have a way of intervening. The historical data will show, be it the Chinese, the Americans, or the Canadians, or what, or the Englishmen, they had always found a way of keeping their exchange rates. Either one, to keep their exports cheaper. Because they want to attract more people to buy their product. That is how they grow their economy. You need to buy American car. But in the market, you have an American car, you have a Chinese car, you have a Japanese car. You understand? Chinese, Japanese car all competing. For a rational buyer, you are looking for cheaper prices. And that is what comes because you want to look at the exchange rate.
Cheaper prices with some level of quality.
And so, beyond the quality, a rational person is also looking at pricing. It's a key consideration when you want to buy anything.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we must always appreciate is that, look, this economy under Minister Atuforsen is curious, and we are not looking at it. Prof can confirm. It's been 8 months without any significant foreign intervention per se in the management of the exchange rate. Why do I say so? By April 2017, Minister Ken Ofori-Atta had already gotten the Franklin Templeton 2.25 billion to shore up the reserves. That was a significant intervention. It just didn't happen because some people needed to manage the reserve in such a way as to send a message to the market that you have enough forex in the system. It's been 8 months. Have you heard of any such thing? No. By October 2017, we had already reached out to the Eurobond market and started borrowing. So in the period of 6 years, we have done in excess of $13 billion of bonds to show up the city. Have we done the same thing? No. You notice that each year, by this time, we're already talking about cocoa syndicated loans. This year, that conversation is no longer there. So what it tells you is that, and like Prof said, just by looking at spending and the cuts in spending, a lot had happened. BOG itself, through its interventionist policies, has already mopped out of the system over 60 billion Ghana cedis. And that is what you notice, that from the inflationary end, the market appears to be contracting just to keep the economy in check. And that is what you notice, that inflation. Because at a point, it was obvious that Bank of Ghana's intervention in printing more cedis into the system also fueled the inflationary pressure that we're seeing. That appears to have a reversal.
Absolutely.
As we speak today, the benefit, and like Prof, I want to reference him. He said, look, the fact that inflation is coming down does not mean prices of goods and services naturally must also come down. What it simply gives you an indication that prices at least will have a certain level of predictability for the purposes of planning. That is key. But today, this government under Minister Atto-Forson has successfully managed the dynamics of the exchange rate without that significant foreign involvement. In the sense that we are here to do Eurobond, we are here to do cocoa syndicated loan. Possibly the gold board intervention has been a game changer that you cannot run away from. Look, the gold reserve that we've gotten in 8 months is more than everything that we've gotten for the entire 2024. Just by, plucking the smuggling, among other things, with what Gold Board is doing. So that is a significant intervention. The issue of Gold Board was not wishful thinking. It has to take men to come out with that innovation. It has never been. What we had in the past was PMMC. It never intervened in this matter in keeping the stability of the city. So we should always get it right that government of Ghana, one way or the other. Look, as for the IMF and these issues, Martin had elucidated on the literature significantly. Why do I say so? The IMF, first of all, is not Father Christmas. It's a bank. Like you go for loan from anybody, they pick interest rates on the loans they give you. Just that they don't call it loan, they call it bailouts. But it's a loan. At the end of the day, you have to pay it. And we are still servicing part of our loans with them. As we speak now, the conversation in mighty UK is that the opposition leader in UK is calling the government to provide its economic plan because it risks going to the IMF for a bailout. Yes, even in mighty United Kingdom. As we speak today, President Donald Trump is having, a conversation relative to the removal of the chair of the Federal Reserve. Why do you think so?
Over the cutting of
yes, because the president wants interest rates manipulated in a particular manner. The professionals are not allowing that. And so the president says, I have removed you because I want somebody who will come and do what I want at the Federal Reserve. This mighty United States of America. So under no circumstance should the government say, look, I'm just going to wait for market forces to just play it out. More so when they are driven by all the other issues you can think of. Look, you pointed it right. It's a system we inherited, where every quarter we go to the Bank of Ghana to auction forests to the various bulk oil distributing, the ones with the buy-their license. That intervention has been greatly helpful. BOG under Governor Esiama has a different approach to it. But again, it's just a matter of making the forest available. The thinking is that it is not all the forests that they even get that they use. Some are even thinking, and like the president made the point, that you have a situation where somebody tells you that I am importing X amount of product. And if you look at the data, huge billions of dollars moved, but you don't have corresponding imports
coming in. So $42 billion.
What is
over the
happening?
past 4 years?
So what it means is that people are using all of these mechanisms to do their own things. So the dynamics in the market ensures that the state must always keep its eye, because immediately you take your eyes off, they begin to do their own thing. And that is what we cannot let go. It becomes extremely dangerous. Now, as to the true value of the cedi, where I sit, if it comes to 8, I'll be happy.
Hold on.
I'm coming.
I think I'm going to send for you.
and this is so selfish in the sense that if it comes to 8, at least petroleum prices will drop
Indeed.
for consumers. And for me, that's where my excitement comes from. You understand?
These are the trade-offs.
Yes. But you see, the other thing too is that you are bringing products up. And sometimes your tax revenue, the benchmarking is even done in the dollar, the duties and others. So immediately it goes beyond certain level too, you also suffer. We need the taxes, the duties and others to build the roads, the big push among others. And so usually you just have to do a balancing act. I strongly believe that if we can get to the point where we even maintain it at 10, will be significantly good.
Joe Jackson.
It is possible. It is possible over a long period of time when there's economic transformation.
When there's a transformation of the way this economy functions.
But say, the challenge is that the bulk of the things Ghanaians consume are from outside.
Yeah. And we want to change that.
The Gettysburg economy.
No, but you see, it's a long-term conversation in terms of the structural change.
I have a slightly different view on this matter. Quickly. That the problem is not our imports. Otherwise, why are we getting positive balances of trade? The problem is elsewhere in the capital account. The problem is in transfers outside because we don't own this economy.
It's true.
The problem is in
I agree with you.
the debt servicing because of our high debt service rate.
At the risk of mentioning names, so maybe MTN declares profit at the end of the day. The principal shareholder is not, quote unquote, a Ghanaian. So he has to move his profits definitely outside. He's not going to move that profit in Ghana cedis. Or he's going to do that. No. You move it like the many other companies. I just use.
But some of us say that there should be a deliberate policy to create Ghanaian ownership of this economy. After all,
that one is something we all agree.
Until we do that, all we are doing is shipping the money away.
Good.
Look at the financial sector. How many of our commercial banks
and senior
in Ghana?
Yes.
Senior,
How many are principal shareholders outside?
So senior,
Thank you.
Senior.
Hold on.
So look at these two: the banking and the financial sectors. What are the time when they begin to put out their books? Between March, April, correct?
Yes. A lot of companies have their financial year ending 31st December.
Exactly. So by January, February, March. So if you look at the cyclical nature of our forex dynamics, you see that by March, April, it starts going up again. That's the time they are moving their funds out. Then by September, October, like we are seeing now, the imports,
ahead of Christmas.
the Christmas, orders are also coming, and so there are always two times.
True.
March, April, now to November. The dynamics are always, and that is why for the past 8 years, you notice that around April, March, we do the Eurobond. The roadshow starts in earnest by February. So by March, April, the Eurobond will quickly come in. And then by September, October, the cocoa syndicated loan will come in.
That is even not the only thing. Beyond that, the central bank also does swap arrangements.
Exactly.
Okay, to manage
so if you want
expectation was that
cocoa syndicated loans and
the expectation was that because of how the uptick of the cedi was experienced over the last at least 6-7 months, maybe this year would have been an outlier. So
complete outlier because of the interventions that we've had in the past. Because by now, like Cocoa Board is all over the world looking for money. And the announcement will be coming. Oh, the Cocoa Board, the 1.2 billion Edeba. All those ones kill the speculation. But now things are moving from 10 to almost 12 and beyond because the market is not hearing this kind of news. And that is what is fueling all of this. So I think, first of all, we need to applaud the managers of the economy in the past 8 months for at least the relative stability that we've seen. Atofo saying Governor Esiama, who is really forcing and has forced Governor Esiama, my brother Sami Jemfi, this combination had provided a certain relative calmness in the system. The hits that we are seeing in these past few weeks is simply because of the fact that nobody is talking. Everybody is quiet. And the market is beginning to speculate that, why are they not talking? Is it because the reserve ABCD? And very soon, I am, from where I sit and what I know, the Honorable Atoforsin will soon speak.
Atoforsin will speak on this CD situation.
And the market once again would the heat will calm down. I'm very confident about it.
Okay. Well, the most important thing is how the next few months will be like. And I want to stay on you, Mr. Tamaklo. And that
the turbulence.
Yes.
I mean, the turbulence, again, like I told you, the orders will definitely increase. It is the basic demand and supply. If you are making the orders for Christmas and others. And I was shocked to find out that if you look at the data, within this time, the things we consume in Christmas is amazing. We eat everything.
Consumption is good.
End result of production is not. The food one alone, 3 billion of imports. The rice, oil,
tomatoes. And shockingly, even Yemuadie.
Actually, it's in the top 10.
It's shocking.
Why is it shocking? And from Abukume's time.
I thought the Yemuadie, they rate me be Ghana.
No, but thank you. You see,
and even guess what? The amount of product we even bring, I mean agricultural product, from Burkina Faso here, even into Ghana,
tomatoes,
the numbers are shocking.
Onion, even from Niger.
Indeed.
A desert country.
And ginger.
So sometimes, and onion, tomatoes, wheat, among others. Look, it's shocking. I sometimes I just have, maybe we need to go back and learn from the Chinese. It has always been said that nobody had
go anywhere.
I need to round up on this. Yes. We
have to round up on data. Look, these are the kind of things that policy making, when you hear, should cause you sleepless nights.
Yes.
And tell yourself no, and have clear timelines. But you see, we don't want to do the heavy lifting, and that is why you see so many people are speculating, because that is where they think they can make some spread money. Because we don't want to get to the real sector of the economy and do anything. People, that is not motivating. That is not rewarding. But then that is why we say, okay, trade, because some of these things that we import, we should be able to address them. Some of them, even 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, gradually. Let's have a clear plan. I'm hoping that since you are here, the 24-hour economy and the accelerated development will begin to break them down into actionable pillars.
You see, there's a man who heralds the 24-hour thing, Mr. Gusitando, a man I have great respect for. He's one such person whose eyes for results is huge. And for all of us, he's not allowing us to sleep over this issue of 24 hours. At my end, it's a sleepless night on the conversation, and he's doing so in many, many other places. And the president actually spoke about it when he met the media, that this is one area that once we're able to do some of these issues, we should have a reversal in how we have managed this Gordonsburg economy over the period.
And now, so you talk about the turbulence. It's going to come. I mean, within the last quarter, we would experience some turbulence. But to what extent? And this is a minute or two each for you, Professor Bob King, and then also Joe Jackson. This turbulence in the last quarter, would it still be within the 12, 13 cedis to the dollar? Or as we continuously see the demand for dollar for imports, as we have seen in the last quarter of the year, over the years, it could push the rate to a little over 13 cedis from your own reading, all things being equal. Prof.
Well, I think that things are taking shape, and I believe that there should be no panic.
Okay.
There should be no panic. I think, as I indicated earlier, what we have seen is consistent with our expectations. Okay, and all of that, so there should not be panic. I believe that if you look at where our reserves stand, and then also given that we have the 5th IMF review, they will be coming to town towards the end of this year, end of this month to the first week of October. Once we scale the wall and all of that, and I'm just hoping that government will put the data out there, because there are some structural benchmarks that we have to meet ahead of the 5th review. We are looking at end of June cutoff date, also including the audit of the arrears and all of that. Remember, we beyond satisfying IMF conditionalities as part of the 5th review, they need to also update us on how government is faring, because the information is not only for the IMF. And that is why sometimes you realize that we are a bit more accountable when we are under IMF than ourselves.
Precisely.
So I think I'm happy you said our minister will be giving us updates.
Updating the public.
Yes, and I believe that part of the update should also include some of these IMF reforms and all of that. Because sometimes we have our own indirect way of tracking ahead of their coming, whether we are on track and all of that. Once we're able to scale that wall, that will give us more than $360 million. We've also picked news about the syndicated cocoa loan and all of that. We are hoping also that once we see this rate correction, we should see some kind of uptick in terms of remittances, because the rate largely is becoming a bit more aligned with what the market expectation is with remittance. So if you look at it from all this, and I'm also happy what the president mentioned about demand for FX that is not matched by corresponding import and all of that. Look, this economy is rigged to a very large extent. And all of that, okay? So we need, and we sometimes, and this is how I feel, that officials and all of that, we are on fat salary, but we are sleeping on our jobs. Okay, in terms of the real monitoring and data and being on the ground and all of that, and checking that, yes, what the papers passing around is also matched by the underground movement and all of that. So I think that if they can do a bit more on that angle, and then with the regulations, the directives and all of that, some directives, I think, beyond a certain point, they become counterproductive. We should not lean heavily on directives, regulations to solve certain problems that fundamental shift we should be looking at and all of that. Of course, some of them will be medium to long term, but what I want to say finally is that there should be no panic. And I believe that the situation is
even risky. For me, where I see it, if your expectation is that the dollar will go up to 13, which what I know, in the coming days, you may become a big loser.
I see.
Under the circumstance.
So we should expect some interventions in the coming days.
What I know is that things will go down.
I see.
Yes. But like Prof said, as for it, we should never get there.
Mr. Jackson, please.
It's not one of my prayers.
Mr. Jackson,
we say in economics
in a minute.
inflation
So we go into the
is self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. Before long, it happens.
Indeed. Mr. Jackson, well, in a minute. Quick.
No, I stand with Prof on this issue. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's back off. And I think there's a lot of speculation in the market, and it will be interesting if over the next few weeks we see the central bank dip its hands into stabilizing the market and making sure that we don't overshoot the estimates that they themselves have made, because overshooting those estimates will also bring a lot of pain into the market.
Okay.
Once again, stability is far more important than the actual rate itself.
And then also,
Fantastic.
finally, you see, because government is also preparing to open the bond market, I mean, we have peak signal that there's considerable interest, offshore investors who want to participate. That will also bring in FX, open that. So I think that if you look at the projection inflows, of course, demand is always high and all of that. I believe that there shouldn't be panic going forward.
Great. Quite a number of the messages I'll get into, and we'll go into the Galamsey conversation. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also now on the Voice of London Radio and then the Voice of London Television. Quite a number of the messages about the earlier technical hitch came from the people who usually watch us in the diaspora. This one here says, is Christmas import not evidence of how Christianity has made us reliant on the West and impacting on the Ghanaian cedi? What is the relationship between Christianity and the cedi depreciation during Christmas? Ask Prof and Edudzi to explain. No, but you know what? I honestly, this is something that it's going to take. It's a whole topic on its own.
We tend to eat more during Christmas.
Absolutely. This one here says,
yes. Look, if
Consumption is good.
what we should be doing is, how do we produce the things that we import in anticipation of Christmas? So that, because the end result of production is consumption. You need consumption to also stimulate the economy. So if we're producing these things ourselves, look, Alfred, you know why countries declare holidays? It's not because they want to go and sleep. It's to also stimulate consumption, festivals here and there. Countries spend billions to host World Cup. Can you imagine the consumption, the injection into the economy and all of that? So
thank you. Very important. Thank you very much. This one here says,
Black Friday.
Gentlemen, thank you. They says that the millionaires in Ghana.
To stimulate
Thank you very much. Thank you. The millionaires in Ghana should invest in the country as well to boost the productivity. That's coming from Money was watching us on Facebook. This one here says, a simple study we have undertaken recently reveals that our trade and investment policies are so much aligned to attract and protect foreign companies at the expense of local businesses. Our trade policies taxes are skewed to make it absolutely difficult and most times impossible for local businesses to compete. Thank you very much for your message. This is from Guta. Charles Kusi Apia is the head of business and economic bureau of the Ghana Union Trade Association, Guta. Is it? Yeah, yes. So he sent this message. This one here also, Honorable Nia Ikotu, I acknowledge the message that you sent, and then also drawing our attention to the technical hitch on the stream earlier. Thank you very much. This one here says, the West claims to be the fighters of corruption, but when the people steal money and hide them in their country, they protect their loot. They then chase people to the third world country to retrieve your stolen monies. I think that's what Kpebu, alluded to, and you are going on that tangent. This one here says, hi Alfred, the cedi-dollar relation, we need to take critical look at it again and again. We need to do more exports relative to what we produce locally. A big yes, but it doesn't stop there. Fact is, we produce crude oil locally. Question is, why export is relative to refining? Can't we refine crude oil here, save some dollars, and at the same time use it here instead of always importing refined ones? Edudzi Tamaklo and the Tamari refinery, I know there's some conversation going on in that regard. In the part of last week,
Edmond Combat is doing extremely well. He wants to bring Tema oil refinery back on the stream, and I think he needs our collective support. You can imagine how that will become a game changer for all of us.
Indeed. So we're going into our Galamsey conversation, and that was topical as well during the president's encounter with the media. A number of questions on it. The president spent quite some time talking about the Galamsey matter because, as we have stated in passing, we are spending over in 11 million, in fact, 11 million, in excess of $11 million now to import water into this country. That is how serious the situation is getting. But there's some water I can tell you we are not importing into this country. And this is this water that you have seen being on the table for some time now. This is locally produced, fresh from the University of Ghana, where Professor Bobkin is. So, Prof, this is directly from your quarters, University of Ghana. This is the UG Premier Fresh Natural Mineral Water. We are not calling it natural mineral water just for the sake of it. It is indeed having all the properties in there to make it natural. The UG Premier Fresh Natural Mineral Water is a premium product of the University of Ghana, the commercial subsidiary of the University of Ghana, that's the UGEL. Our water is sourced from natural springs in the Ayikuma enclave, where we strive to maintain its most natural form. Through reverse osmosis purification technology, we preserve essential natural minerals while ensuring the value. In fact, the quality of the water remains perfectly safe and healthy for drinking. You can call them on these numbers, tell them that you heard me talk about it on Key Point. They'll give you a very, very good experience and a good package. 056 181 4444, 056 181 4444, or 055 506 0150, 055 506 0150. Their depot is located at the University of Ghana, Liman Hall. And they have sachet water as well, 500 ml, affordable, everyday hydration. UGL Premier Fresh Mineral Water, where purity meets refreshment. Because we're all alumni.
You know, everything about University of Ghana excites me.
Yes.
The university that has made at least some of us.
Indeed.
All of us here.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
It's not surprising. Wait. It's not surprising. There's only one investing in Ghana.
Okay, so there are quite a few.
You know, at the risk of annoying my friends, who attended Kumasi Lagos, I'll tell them that there's UG Premier Fresh Water.
And you all buy some as well.
There's only one investor.
Yeah, the rest are others.
We're talking about this. That leads us to Galamsey. Here's what the president said about Galamsey, specifically the calls for the declaration of a state of emergency. He says he's a bit reluctant to do that. And he explained why. Take a look.
Then we launched a code of conduct for public officials with an insistence on strict compliance. A high-level working group has been inaugurated to draft a new anti-corruption strategy aimed at strengthening ethical governance and institutional coordination. My fellow citizens, the scourge of Galamsey is receiving much attention. We've established the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, as a Central Operations Command Center coordinating the national fight against illegal mining and its associated environmental degradation. In a coordinated effort across all security agencies and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, 440 excavators have been seized. Over 1,400 arrests have been made, with suspects awaiting prosecution. Over 300 Shamfang machines have been confiscated and destroyed. Over 900 water pumps seized from illegal mining sites have been handed over to the Ministry of Agriculture for distributing to farmers for irrigation purposes. Of Ghana's 288 forest reserves, 44 had previously suffered varying degrees of destruction from illegal mining. Notably, 9 of those reserves had become no-go zones due to the presence of armed groups. Through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and with support from the security agencies, we've successfully repossessed all 9 of these red-zoned forest reserves. However, over the weekend, the Jimira Forest Reserve and the Anria Futu section of the Ofinch Shelter Belt was re-invaded by illegal miners after these were handed back to the Forestry Commission. The military is currently working with NIMOS to repossess those reserves and establish a permanent presence in those liberated forest reserves to prevent re-incursion by illegal miners. 980 personnel have been recruited, trained and deployed in the western and savannah regions. They conduct daily operations on major river bodies, serving as community vanguards to ward off illegal mining activities. An additional 1,020 personnel will be recruited and deployed by the end of the year, bringing the total force to 2,000 blue water guards. In the Galamsey fight, because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The president can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency. And so I believe that we still have leverage to continue to fight Galamsey without necessarily implementing a state of emergency. It means that we have to delineate the areas where the state of emergency is operational. And if you look at the area where Galamsey is taking place, it covers several districts of our country. And so we would do it if it becomes necessary. But for now, I think that we've given the security services enough powers to be able to deal with people who are found to be involved in Galamsey.
That's the president, John Dramani Mahama, there. Says he has explained why he is reluctant to declaring the state of emergency, but that did not sit well with a section of the Ghanaian populace, especially civil society. Awula Sewa is a co-founder and executive director of Eco-Conscious Citizens. He's going to be joining us in the studio shortly. But Professor Godfred Bobkin as well is part of the coalition against illegal mining, talked about this consistently over time. Even though, Prof, this call for a state of emergency found favor amongst the NDC while in opposition. But the president says that it is not at the moment, he's actually reluctant to declaring the state of emergency because he's looked at the powers available now. The result of a state of emergency can be achieved through other means in terms of the fight against Galamsey. Does that satisfy the concerns that you had? And will that be an effective approach to achieve the same results if a state of emergency was declared in this Galamsey fight?
Alfred, to be very honest with you, when it comes to fighting illegal mining, call it Galamsey, we are not attaching the urgency that is needed in addressing this particular issue. The president, and you see, consistency, policy credibility, and all of that matters a lot. The president was with us when he was in opposition. We were all at the same level in terms of the diagnosis of the issues and the approach. And I believe that in all those discussions, we had considered all these options. That the president now says that the powers have not been exhausted and all of that, and therefore this should be a last resort. We are not disputing that. I believe that, and we are of the view that we are actually at the point where we need to trigger the last resort.
Which is the state of emergency?
Yeah, because you know why? When we say last resort, it's not like saying that it should not be used at all. We have been at this not in a year, 2 or so, and all of that. And if you check the evidence, recently we read that the water some branch in the central region has been shut down.
Yes, in fact, that's the Kwenyako headworks.
If you look at the information NADMO put out, I think about 2 weeks or so, the number of people who have died in Galamsey pit, in the central region, and the rest of them. Look, we are not, I'm getting a bit emotional about this because I don't know how to put it without coming across as being disrespectful. We were not brought up that way. But our leaders are pushing us to the point where we are unable to find words to express how we feel. We are not only talking about what we have seen and all of that. We are talking about things that we have also seen about the future of this country, and we should be concerned. Look, I'll talk about some study we participated in recently. There is this narrative, and it's a deception, that because of unemployment, sustaining livelihoods, that is why income level, that's why people are into this galamsey. A lot of the people you see there, they are using them as face shield. This illegal mining has not really benefited the low-end people in those communities. In the first place, look, if you check the data, since we saw this escalation in illegal mining, between 2012 and to date, poverty reduction really has worsened. Check the data. So if we are saying that so many Ghanaians who are in these galamsey is because of lack of employment, alternatives, and the rest of them, it's not impacting their lives. Those vulnerable poor Ghanaians are not the ones importing these excavators and the rest of them. Okay, this is a clear case of hijack. Some few people, greedy people who don't have this nation at their heart, politically connected and all of that. If we are not careful, we will die in this. When some few people have benefited from this. Look at this. If you look at the numbers, between 2012, in fact, poverty reduction actually stopped somewhere 2012. If you look at it in terms of international poverty, it has worsened. In fact, we visited some of the mining communities just to also, there are some things you use to check whether there's transformation in people's lives and all of that. They have nothing to show for. People are wasting their lives. People are dying in those pits. People are taking too much risk. But if you look at the value chain, just some few people, I hope you understand, mostly in the urban areas who are profiting from this. Yes, profiting from this. And is the reason, and they have, and you see the link with the political financing regime schemes and all of that, which more or less makes it difficult for people in power to take the right decision. I have heard, and I suspect, I could be wrong, Ghanaians should forgive me, there is this understanding somewhere within, I'm sure even within government, that if we declare state of emergency, if we aggressively fight this, it will cause structural break in gold production, and therefore the Cedi will depreciate, and then all of that. That's a lie. The president, during the encounter with the media, told us that we have not borrowed from the international capital market, but we have some level of stability with the currency. Who told us that without gold we cannot have a currency? Who told us that? And who says that we cannot do responsible mining? We are not calling for a total ban, I hope you understand that, and all of that. We are calling for responsible mining. We should bear in mind, whatever legacy the president wants to leave, he should remember that his legacy will not be determined just within the 4 years. In the next 10, 15 years, everything will look infinitesimal. in the face of devastation that the environment is going to cause to all of us. We don't need a prophet to tell us we are heading dangerously. The data is very clear. We face existential threat. And you see, I don't know how to put it, but for me, I think the president, I have a lot of respect for this government, for the president, but I am very sorry, Mr. President, you are failing on this one. As a leader,
you can't against Galamsey?
He is failing. The president can do something about this. There's a lot that the president can do. As a leader, you don't pick and choose where you want to succeed.
Well, but you heard him why he said he's reluctant.
I disagree.
In declaring the state of emergency.
I disagree. I have the right to disagree. And I think that we are not attaching the level of urgency in fighting this simply because of personal interest, political interest, self-interest. This is greed. This is evil that will consume others and itself. How should we put this without coming across as being disrespectful? I am afraid the president is going the same way that the former president went and lost our respect.
You mean Akufo-Addo?
Yes.
But he says that
this is the optimal time for the president to take those decisive actions, because when the election is getting closer, the dynamics are different. You see how difficult it was last year with all the pressure and all of that. Do you know something? I'm saying this, I'm calling on TUC, I'm calling on all religious bodies, every serious-minded Ghanaian who cares about this country, okay, to rise up. When I say rise up, I don't know how to, I'm not looking at it in a certain
revolutionary manner.
Whatever, but please, this is the time to speak up. This is the time to save Ghana. If we want to, look, there's a proverb in the Bible. The Bible says that the fathers have eaten the sour grapes and the children's teeth have been set on edge. When God said that this proverb will not be repeated in Israel, we are fast repeating this proverb here. Anyone buying gold from Ghana, you are buying blood. This is blood gold. You are buying organs of innocent people. People are born without part of their organs. How many people should die? Where should we get to before we say that we should trigger the last resort? I'm afraid. I'm disappointed. Mr. President, I believe that you have a good heart. If you want to leave a legacy, your legacy should last in the next 10, 50, 60 years. That is why we still mention Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I didn't live during his days. But when I read the literature and I see the infrastructure he did, I'm not sure some of the decisions he took in those days were popular among his colleagues. But he did so because he had the next generation in mind. This is, Mr. President, you are failing. Mr. President, please sit up. We don't want to lose our respect for you. We were not brought up to be disrespectful to elderly people. Let's not tempt ourselves to the point where we can't hold back or we can't, engage in meaningful conversations devoid of emotions. I don't know how to put this. I'm scared for Ghana. If anything will cause me to leave this country, it will be irresponsible mining.
Galamsey. Well, Kpebu, you see, the president, in taking that position that he is reluctant to implement a state of emergency in Galamsey now, predicated his position on the fact that, one, we've not exhausted the powers we have without a state of emergency, and then also that implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last resort. So for now, he's exercising all the powers that he has, and if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. Also, Professor Bob King says this is the time. It has become necessary. That last resort has to be resorted to right now. Is that the same path that you are on? Are we at that point?
Okay, good. So, it matters like this. Let's go with as we are all advocating, the scientific approach. Coming in here, I came with data that we had 9 forests under siege. We took them back, and then 2 fell back to the Galamseyers.
Yes.
And that, as of the time the president was giving his as of the time the president was in the encounter, efforts were being made to take back those 2, right? So I'm looking at the data. So that is what I have. If there is anything else we can add. So when I look at it from that perspective, then it appears to me, and also with the comments that Erastus Asaridonko, who is, admittedly a key watcher of the space, he came out with his verdict that the fight now is far better than the fight under Akufo-Addo's government. So for me, I kind of see it as, okay, work in progress. And so that's where Professor Bobkin's exhortation comes in, that the president should up the game. Yes, you know, what Professor Bobkin has done, of course, we all know, somebody has to cry out loud, even when the president is working hard. That's human nature. You would hardly get 100% everybody applauding the president. No. In the nature of, you remember earlier on, Edudzi referred to the gadfly. So you go into philosophy, in every society, you always have a gadfly, right? That's a person who would say it raw as it is.
Yes.
So Professor Bobkin is doing it in that manner to urge President Mahama to up the game. So it's fine. It's within. It's okay. But going by the data that I'm using, that 9 forests gone, but retrieved, and then 2 fell and are being taken over. Did I even hear after the speech that about a day or so after that, yes, the military had ended up, or whoever.
I don't have that update, but
yeah,
I'll check.
Okay, so viewers can bring us information. So if you look at it from that perspective, and also coupled with the fact that right now efforts are being made to repeal the law, the LI 2462, and also the fact that our beloved Etiwa Forest, for now, even though we haven't finished our court case, I see Awula Sewa here. She's one of the plaintiffs in the case, Arocha, and some CSOs, including Awula Sewa. Yes, though we've not finished. You see that our society collectively, we've decided that no, there will be no mine in Etiwa, right? So when I add all of this, then I'm like, okay, so the fight is on. This looks better. This definitely looks better. I'm not saying everything is rosy. No, it's not hunky-dory. Not hunky-dory at all. But definitely from the verdict that has been given, the fight is getting better. And so that's how Professor Bobkin's strong statement comes in. That look, in our society, you'll never get 100%. Okay? So get on with it. Maybe for the first time you want to try. So then get on with it. So by all means, let's keep speaking, but it appears on the ground that, at least from what I have seen, the fight is better.
So the reference is made to the stance that the NDC took while in opposition about this state of emergency. Because at the time, if at the time that call was relevant, it was urgent.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Good.
A year on, why the reluctance?
Oh, good question. So, now, Mr. Okanse, you can check online. Check to see if at any point in time, I ever supported the call for a state of emergency. You won't find me.
I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, so I'm developing the point. Yeah. So the point was that even last year, when the statement the president made is a master stroke, that we've not exhausted the use of the laws that we have. And so, number one, he himself admits that he stopped the IG's task force on Galamsey because he thought there were abuses here and there.
Yes.
What maybe we can send to the president as a follow-up is that, so when is IG Onu's task force going back? That's the most critical thing. When is the task force together with the NIMOS, National is it Action? Okay, sorry. The National Anti-Illegal Mining Secretariat. So he says, he says there were abuses. So that day when I followed the conversation, I was interested in, okay, so when are they returning? Because he said they couldn't distinguish illegals from legals.
Yeah.
So then that would have required a recce where an advanced team will go and be taught, or that's shown which are the legal concessions and which are the illegals. Study them well on maps, etc. before IG's team goes back. So, I mean, that point, and that's what I stand to be corrected. I can't.
Gold board. Bank of Ghana, they should give us the list of mining companies they've been buying gold from and
No
where they are located.
No problem. Let's come to this. So when you go to article, so that I'll come back on. Okay, let's address that. So you see, the president himself said it at a point that look, whether they bought for legals or illegals, generally now is benefiting us. You heard Edudzi's point. No, I'm coming. Let's the statement. Listen, what he means is that look, the illegals were going out, right, through some other channel. You see, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, I know it. I think we should say it so that we will see what is wrong and then we can correct it. What he's saying is a fact on the ground that even if the purchase illegal,
that is even if
that's it. It's a conditional clause. Previously, these were going to some private people who were taking this money out, and the dollars not coming in. But right now, through Gold Board, what they've purchased 4 billion. It said, I mean, it's never happened. 4 billion, even in less than or about 6 months, it's never happened. So sometimes the practical aspect of it that I think that, like he's saying, facing realities. That's the thing. Sometimes politics, when you speak the truth, you will be crucified. That's how come you see sometimes politicians are forced to lie to us here and there because the truth can be quite difficult. That's not the main point. We're just talking about the main point is that you're asking me, the president says we've not exhausted the remedies or the facilities and
powers, yes.
Powers available to us under normal law. And so why do we rush to a state of emergency? And I say, yes, I agree. Because look, when you read Article 31 here, look, the part, let's go, when you, just to summarize all the procedure, when I talk about Article 31 of the Constitution, that's the article on the state of emergency. Is the 3110, which says that during any period when a state of emergency is enforced, so a government can take any measures that are reasonably justifiable for the purposes of dealing with the situation that exists. So that's a nebulous statement. So you ask ourselves, as I said, this is where I'm being humble, I want to learn. What we have now, IG's men who were withdrawn and whom we are asking the president to send back after the NIMOS, that's the National Anti-Illegal Mining Secretariat, showing them the right places. Okay. Apart from these things, if we declare the state of emergency today, what else would we be doing? Are you going to declare a state of emergency on paper? Of course, as I said, we are leaving out the issue of Council of State, Parliament, and the rest. But I mean, if everything is done and the state of emergency is on paper, what else? So practically, you need the police to go and enforce. So how is that different from saying, okay, look, the police have been educated about the concessions, so let them go now. Okay. What is different? So state of emergency is not a magic wand by itself. It's a declaration. When you are done, you still need this police to go and enforce the law. So currently under the law, we can send police there, IG's men and the NIMOS people can go and do the work. So as I say, I'm being humble. Maybe other lawyers. So
you say, what will it add to the fight as is going on currently? You know, there was this analogy.
Ewe enti abusiafo we ensema atimi akoso what you say enti no we ensema atimi akoso, and I could see say it is very clear say emrani ye adwuma, but Assembly committee na ka che ye wo format Kpebu lawyer anything onya botare because emrano ye adwuma, and ono ti ho a wo kasai a o ye lawyer woni mimrai and o tena TV so TV3 so and o kan se bi edigu judges ehun fi anas lawyers hu fi and I think so mbe yi na free ba no so, and as matter of agency any law you know and kombe yi na free so is the same way and obi eye bibi boni ti sa Abronye kan sembi na egu nipa bi hu fi ese nipa bi hu, in fact ema nipa bi go into lower standard na odi femi obi a e wose mra no eni ni ye adwuma nti ye papa Your for uncle, lawyer Martin Kpebu. I've been following you. I've been following you for a while, and I like how you talk. If the way we see a practice with law, with logic, whenever you come to TV3 or wherever you go to speak as a lawyer. But Abronye issue enya DB was say, who coming out to support, say Abronye, you should leave him to walk scot free, because everybody in this country knows the Abronye and even on one party members or ya be to the extent your mobile bunting bedi associated themselves from it. Intini mbisa se nka de kura Abronye ye no na eya nka party members no be support you, nka they won't rather come out to disassociate themselves from it, which he insulted the Archbishop Duncan Williams. There are certain instances Abronye the nkrofo on the platform so why they will degrade you more. What break what put on their credentials, and I can say credibility. What degrade you more. There are instances Abronye heading I defame nkrofo, and now watching sanka nkrofo be sorry so more na nka omo de omo petition ekwa nka wi Abronye obetimi adam. What I say obetimi adam for bia judge no bia me prejudicial because me lawyer me judge, but bia enkomudi asem no bia na se bia asem no ebekwa ati Abronye na sa Abronye nkontia na nka bia nka no beka ho bi ama Abronye ho akire no. What I say enti Abronye nyema ye no kuruma no sebi obia ndefend, and so far me hu obia onim de oya obesori so be defend Abronye. I just say ni MPP for na, because sebi mpayfo we bi sa kwada ni bu na so ayi nye de yitwa ye papa. It is MPP for na omo anka so omo de hye wadi nse hunu sebi na omachi na omo nhwe mo omo mfa ne nko eno de that is logic. Say NDC for anko mbeye. Let me be frank with you. In some way no I support them, say omo akwa omo ye protest ye ntiase ye nyimatise 23rd class Salem Mustafa, the youth organizer, national youth organizer, the man PP Salem Mustafa esi obey demonstration minimum more no obey demonstration be anyway also obey. What you say minim se what say 23rd of September no, by that time na Abronye omudi na kotumu sisi you minim de, but the mwa say judge enyamba enyamba judgment or see 19th, which is coming Friday, also see made demonstration on 23rd, which means what declare your hand that say judge be jeli Abronye. If that's that date in about is a right and it is authentic there, that is Salem Mustafa no one kasanko for MPP for no, they have been hinted say embedding as Abronye jeli no. They have been hinted Abronye jeli no. What I say, and I am scared. I am even scared. Say Abronye ne niema waye. So moment of opportunities. So mumbra, if opportunity is being granted to people to come to them and speak, bring their petitions, Abronye ebe roti with jail. Enti ye about Kpebu papa, we dey so mfa hu meshim, because you have been honest person since. Anya fe ena obemo obi abehye wachi abese Martin yekona kweden okra Martin Kpebu lawyer Martin Kpebu na Abronye de wasi hono a degrade u pen okira wo shoe no wo che okasa ate sesebi mintimi nka no ha. Yes, lawyer Martin Kpebu Abronye degrade u pen. Abronye degrade u pen, serious one as that. The Abronye ni waye enya senketwa. How Abronye si do what on the platform so a chow amo hu se ampa ono so kaseti ano nti ene enka ya chi no kra se nka hallelujah ne won, but otena se na oye o hu se odi e won fa hwe ho, and upon all your credibility or abedin for years no obi ntiti aso keke without any evidence. You see enkoye enti moma nja Abronye na emra na ni se emra no si onkonombra obeba semrane so onkodem obedem eyine wa hanam ye de menye judge menye lawyer muna moye lawyers muna moye me judges wo nti mo me leave all those things into the hands of the lawyers and the judges to do their work. So coming back to the Cedi depreciation, Cedi no debia meka the reason why MPP to me enkasa bebre say you drew last quarter of the year now, which is September, November, October, December. September, October, November, December. You drew home now. Ayana yintimi emfa what do quality? Yintimi emfa dollar to the Cedi ratio no enye I mean politics bebre because honum no ayana import no edoso nti ema dollar no eho kire no sorry ema dollar no yes nti abasa no ne Cedi no rise sorry na dollar no ikoso what you say nti no you could see say MPP for intimi emfa propaganda omako mono to because they know what is going on. Think MPP for pension and buy now be $1 and I'm 18 cedis. But because of NDC for they have been able to manage the dollar very, very well. And right from February, January or the one with the Cedi has been 10. At this August, Yana, hit 11. Mebuana. NDC for the Bindwana Nation say rise up by 10. At that things are August yana hit 11. I ne aqua could do 12 a 13 Nikwenyanko. The last time I checked, it was somewhere around 12.20, which is 12 cedis, 20 pesos. What you say, you know, Igusua Eden Echo. But Mama yam find your politics because Mama yen butreni yen shade. The end of the year. Yeah, we call we a shaft as a France who say still now a kosra. They will come out and criticize constructively. And even I don't see the reason why MPP for one why baby Sambi because you're right. Mahama lose 2016 elections now. On any crop for almost 3 years, no munyan criticize Yaban. They were what searching for ideas. So we be bu oman yankopon ya do na so mbedi oman ni so biwa but MPP for barely 1 month February no mo sha se mo kasa yi di adan what is going on for that is it chawaju comment section ma hanom remains your number 1 authentic platform negative yankopon koso a Ishra Maklo bibia subscribe na like na share na foforo enye behwe Maklaw bye bye bidian mega